give it a few minutes. I know hat's crooked again. Well, you can't see my. Howdy, y'all. How you doing? So, here's something that's really interesting to me. Is that, and I got his name wrong. I said, I call it. I thought it was his first name was Greer, whatever. Doctor Greer. I said Stephen. I thought Karen corrected me, spelled differently. Carin. She actually was Caring. Uh, I got his first name wrong. Anyway, he predicted that all this stuff was going to come out in 30 days, and on News Nation, as far as aggregates go, or it could be some of that state-sponsored television. I'm not saying like Smith Munt type, but maybe the alternative to it. But nonetheless, there's supposed to be a big expose on Saturday about all these whistleblowers coming forward and talking about working in these UFO experiments and taking these crafts. And it was funny because the one guy in the teaser said I said, I was a helicopter pilot and I was 150 feet from this thing and spotlighted it. It looked like an egg, a white egg. And I'm thinking, wow, Mork from Mork, the asexual creature who landed in an egg, had rainbow suspenders, had a baby, Jonathan Winters, Mirth, remember, born old, Benjamin Button syndrome, as it gets younger, it's really weird Simpson type stuff, isn't it? But anyway, so the parking lot thing, like I said, it's not the UFOs that freak me out. I worked in the semiconductor industry. I worked on ion implanters. That's a particle acceleration. I know that you do not go from vacuum tube technology to transistors, solid state overnight. That's a quantum leap in reverse engineered alien demonic technology. Point is, the UFOs didn't freak me out because I know we've got probably a whole like a Jay Leno garage full of them at this juncture. So, and I've heard testimonies. I believe it was a Marine sniper team talking about being in Panama and running into one of these details on a ridge, and it being manned by American, what he seemed to be military personnel who said like we could just ice you if you want, don't ever speak of this and all that kind of crap. That's 89. Anyway, so Greer maintains that, and this is going to get around to the lighting. Don't worry, and it's not going to hopefully take too long. I've already been 3 minutes into this, so Greer maintains that's probably why they really killed JFK is because of the whole alien thing and try to keep it under wraps. And they've been abusing this technology for a number of years, and it's always all going to come out in the next 30 days. And kind of is playing out that some of it's starting to leak out. And then you see a lot of stuff in the skies that's unexplainable in large part. And but anyway, back to the parking lot lights. So we all know that, well, maybe not, but yeah, they all come on around dusk till dawn timers. They're called PIDs or whatever. It's a photo sensor, photovoltaic sensor, a switch that goes on and off. And a lot of times it's driven off a PLC and it's a relay driven thing, but it's switched to a much larger contactor. Now contactors, they don't pull in and out without loss and overheating, okay? From a technical standpoint, a lot of these things that I've witnessed are not explainable. As far as it comes to the metal halide, that's 277 volt. It's got ballast. It's got capacitors. Those could be made in China, and frankly, even your big step down transformers that are on the pole and filled with PCBs are made in China these days too. So it already went out. See, one of those three rings has already burnt out. So let me light this again. Okay. Because that's what I pay for, the chemicals on my cigarette. Anyhow, I know this is boring, but I'm fascinated with it because if I was to try to duplicate the kind of things that I've seen, and it's also with fluorescent lighting and lighting inside the stores, it's not just always parking lot lights. It might be explainable if some of these drones and these aircraft, for example, had infrared or some spectrum of light that's not necessarily visible and we're not privy to maybe with the naked eye, that could be triggering these photovoltaic sensors and making them go off and on, off and on, off and on, possibly. Like, for example, one person just tried to pop in for a second and pop back out. When that happens, much like those lights, it makes my reception go off and on, off and on, off and on, because I have poor cellular. And this old phone won't link to my router. And let's just not go into the details of what I want to use my router for, if anything these days. But nonetheless, the chattering, yeah, I can't explain this because like an entire freeway where you're looking at probably kilowatts worth of load being, that's a hell of a contactor pulling in and out at a metronomic pace. Tick tock, tick tock, tick tock. That's crazy to me. I challenge anybody to try to duplicate that. So some things are explainable. Yeah, the different timings and the strobe effects you're getting from different lights, because if they are metal halide versus the LEDs are going to come on immediately. And so it would be rather easy to turn them into a strobe. Most strobes actually are LEDs these days. At least even back in the old days, the wigwags and the squad cars. Now they're all digital. Everything's a diode, a light emitting diode these days. So it's a lot easier to do stuff like that with light emitting diodes, but not with something that's metal halide bulb, 400 watts, powered with a ballast and a capacitor and runs off of 277 volts. Even if you could create that, have a chatter on a relay, on a PLC output, Allen Bradley, Siemens, whatever, you're not going to get a contactor to pull in and out at that rate and not burn itself up over any extended period of time. And these are intermittent problems that just come and go. So I want to get to my point and wrap it up because I'm in about 7 minutes. We're looking at 3 possibilities here. You can call me crazy if you want. A, God, just much like those 3 lightning strikes, and let me point out, 2 electrical powered vehicles, one parked underneath the Trump Hotel, the other one plowed into a car. If you were to add those 2 together, could it describe what maybe we should be expecting as a 4th lightning strike, as the Great Orange Hope wants to have a victory rally like a dunce, and he should ditch all the formalities and just take the office and get to work, sir. Anyway, let's just move on past that because I'm letting my temper get a hold of me again. Maybe these clicking lights are a warning that we might be without some lights pretty soon. Maybe that's another warning. Like you know what? It's over the world too. We do have a weakened magnetosphere. But anyway, photovoltaic sensors that pick up sunlight, dusk till dawn sensors for your parking lot lights, seeing some kind of light source not visible to the human eye might make them toggle on and off, like a directed energy weapon. Does everybody start wearing blue? I'm not a cripper of blood, but it might be a good idea to wear blue. Might be a safety thing, Get Earl Scheib to paint your roof blue for $99, or maybe ask Oprah who did her roof. But I gotta wonder how much of it's explainable. It's there are a lot of drones in the sky. Maybe they could be flagging these sensors and making the parking lot, but a lot of cases, it's fluorescent lighting inside of the structure as well that runs on 110 volt and ballast. So I seen one, and I've looked at like a dozen of these now. I seen one, it was a gas station where the only thing that had power to it, probably because it had an uninterruptible power and UPS, was like the teller, the ATM. So this is, that's a pretty amazing feat, and it's intermittent. It comes and goes, and it doesn't burn up contactors, toggling in and out at that rate, and there's no loss and sparks and flame. And you got to get your cabinets looked at with infrared every year. To make sure you don't have bad connections and heat loss and stuff. I mean, this stuff doesn't escape by people if you're good at maintenance. It's required by states and so forth. So again, so let me just boil it down. In my opinion, I'm a normal guy who worked 30 years in tech and did a lot of different jobs, a jackass of all trades, master of none. You got 3 possibilities. God's trying to warn you of something. B, Satan's trying to instill fear in people. Or C, The aliens are pranking you because I don't have an explanation for this, folks. The lighting thing, that's not just the United States, it's global now. That's the thing that's messing with our power grid. And now I do know that the FBI said that China might be attacking our power grid. I don't think they have the ability to do this. Like I said, if I were to try to duplicate that with a PLC and an output that went to contactors and a load that big on an interstate, on a 6-lane interstate, kilowatt, maybe a megawatt of power, toggling like that at that rate, metronomically, impossible. Impossible. Have a good day. Bye.